a week of birthday party, basketball camp. I've actually taken the last 2 mornings and slept about an hour later than normal because I feel like I'm still recovering from hosting family
I
and all the things.
I get that. I still feel a tiny bit jet lagged, just like by a couple hours, right? I'm going to bed earlier, which is
It's
nice.
coming west. It's coming west. That's
I
what
know.
it is.
I have told everybody about you and I being in Hawaii and falling asleep at 5 p.m. at dinner, just falling asleep.
I mean, it was crazy. My brother just got back from Hawaii a few weeks ago, and I'd warned him when he went there. I'm just like, you're gonna be up at 4 a.m.,
Oh,
four
yep.
o'clock in the morning, and he sent me a text. He goes, "You, you were right. Now I can't go back to sleep."
No, it's going west is east is not that bad. West is difficult. Well, Haley, we have some fun topics to discuss today. Guys, if you are new, this is Stay in Travel. We talk about all things in the travel industry. Today, we're talking hotels, we're talking Europe, we're talking airports,
It's a good spread today. There's
we're
like sometimes
talking
it's really
every
heavy on one topic. Today's a good spread.
today's the good spread. Well, guys, I am Jason Poole. I am a travel advisor with Cruise Planners, and this is just the once a week we come together and talk about all things travel. I'm joined by my friend, my travel companion, my hotel queen, Haley. How are you? Who are you? Why should we listen to anything you say?
Hello, everybody. My name is Haley. I own the hotel sales support company, Hospitality with a Flair. We like to make hotels money. Been in the hotel industry for over 16 years. And I like to travel blog and bounce all over the place like my comrade here to the, I think it's the right for you guys.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure how that comes out on the screen. It's kind of my left, but you're right. And just love traveling all over. So why don't we hop into it? Because we've got some good stuff today.
We do. So there was kind of a hidden partnership that wasn't really discussed a lot between Hyatt and MGM. So they had like reciprocity, whichever one gave you had the higher status, you could get reciprocity with the other one. Which was nice because you could stay at an MGM property in Las Vegas, the Bellagio, for example, and book it through Hyatt.com, and you could get your Hyatt perks, that was a great partnership. Um, I,
And the
I,
status matching was great. Like
the
you
staff
talked
matching
about this a while ago.
there was, and so a couple days ago, Haley, you sent me a screenshot basically saying the Hyatt MGM partnership was ending, and I was like, why?
What? We were all so confused.
I was like, what is going on? Well, guys, the other shoe dropped today. We know why. Marriott has announced a long term partnership with MGM. So basically, the same idea. So you're going to be able to stay at MGM properties. A lot of them are in Las Vegas, obviously, and earn those Marriott Bonvoy points. So, I mean, kudos to Marriott for pulling this off.
I mean, this is huge. This is a huge pull off, especially with them being the biggest brand in the world.
Yeah.
It's just it further extends that reach because I've more so it takes a really unique situation like next month actually to have me stay at a hotel where I'm not earning some points or something for it.
Yep. Yep.
You and I don't go to like Vegas a whole lot, and the thought of even just having MGM points, I'm like,
What are you going to do with MGM? Right. Right. Unless
yeah,
you're free. Now, for our cruising friends, there was this little back-ended hack. I'm hoping it remains. Okay. So, MGM has a partnership with Royal Caribbean and Celebrity to also do status matching. So I'm hoping that remains. So Haley and I kind of did this like back in. We took our, royal status, gave us near top tier status with MGM. Then we called Hyatt, got
and matched it. It was really like backdoor here.
backdoor. So if we can do it again with Marriott, I mean, we all already get gold with the Amex Platinum, but gold is not that great.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I get I used to get decent upgrades with my gold, but I get them almost all the time now with my platinum.
Okay, got it. So I'm hoping we can kind of back in this again, and I call MGM. Hi, I'm Elite Plus with Celebrity or Diamond Plus with Royal. Like, what can we get here? So, big news. I mean, kudos for Marriott. I mean, really. I mean, it was, and this all of a sudden shifts where I will stay next time in Vegas because I really wanted to earn the Hyatt points, but now Hyatt doesn't have anything there. So now it's like, well, maybe I do still stay at the Bellagio and keep earning Bonvoy points, right? So that's going to be, I mean, Hyatt is now off the strip. I mean, they have some Hyatt properties not on the strip, but as far as like the mega resorts, unless I'm missing something, I think Hyatt is missing from the strip.
Yeah.
They are. Yeah. Yeah.
It's it'll be interesting to see how that folds out. I'm thinking they're just diving into that all inclusive a bit more and they're okay taking a step back
Maybe.
from Vegas.
Yeah.
So
Maybe.
we
Yeah.
shall see. So this next one, I'm glad you put it in here because it affects me because I was like, oh snap, I should probably buy
I,
it my tickets here pretty quick.
I when I was looking for the articles, Haley, I had you in mind. I did this. So if you guys have been to Greece, especially if you've been to Athens, and especially if you've been to the Acropolis, it gets crazy during peak summer times. Now, when is peak summer times? That's basically starting, last week of June, really starting early July and goes through August. It kind of starts to slow down a little bit in September. So July, August is like peak summer travel, and the Acropolis gets packed. Okay, absolutely packed. They say they can have upwards of 14,000 people visiting the Acropolis a day. It is insane. So the Greek government is like, this is not sustainable. And so they are now implementing a cap on the number of people. They have not said what that cap is. They're wanting everybody to get tickets, get time slots. Like you got to be in by 10 a.m. You got to be out by 10:30 a.m. So this is going to really incentivize people to plan ahead. It's going to really incentivize people to work with, their travel agents, their tour companies to get the tickets. And but I think the days of just showing up are gonna be, it's like showing up to the Coliseum. Can you show up to the Coliseum? You absolutely can. You're gonna be waiting a few hours sometimes. So I would say, Haley, you're going next month. I would say it's probably, if you haven't bought tickets, it's probably time to.
I was just looking because all the time slots are an hour right now, except for the last time slot of the day. It's actually a couple hours in that last time slot. And, based on the research I had done, I was reading during, peak times, the best time to go is either that first time slot or the last one. And I was like, the last one kind of sounds a little appealing, maybe seeing like, sunset vibes there. Because I really don't want to get up early after having to get up early to disembark a ship the first day.
I don't blame you. And I don't blame you. And then, from your hotel, make sure at night you go out on that terrace because you can see the Acropolis from that terrace. And it makes some great photos of it at night. So
I cannot wait.
I mean, being at the Acropolis late while the sun's setting, because I mean, it's really like up on a hill. Like, I mean, you are elevated, right?
Yeah. Well, the Acropolis itself is the hill for those of you that don't know, because a lot of people call the Parthenon the Acropolis, but the Acropolis is just the hill.
Right. And we know the Parthenon is in Nashville, and it's not falling apart.
Yes.
It's perfectly preserved. But I think this is great. I think we're going to see this as a trend. I really do.
I think it makes sense because I think there is that aspect of over tourism. I mean, you look at Venice, like not doing the ships right in Venice anymore. Hawaii took a lot of steps for
Hmm.
over tourism because travel has become so much more accessible um, to everyone, which is great. But, planning it out for sustainability purposes, I think, is extremely important. And I don't know how people go places and just don't buy tickets ahead of time.
Especially for the Colosseum, the Louvre,
Yeah,
the going to see the Parthenon. Like
like,
you
I'm not saying you have to be fully planned out. Like, when we're doing that trip in London with my dad later this year, we have specific days where we have tickets for certain things. And it's like, then we'll just plan to kind of maybe cover Covent Garden over this time. But, like, you have to plan to a degree if you want to have some success.
I agree. And look, there are places that you can just wing it, but places like the Acropolis, like I said, Acropolis, the Louvre, the
The
Colosseum,
Natural World Heritage Sites.
you can't. You're going to Ephesus, like you can't just wing that. I mean, there are just certain things you cannot wing. A tour of the Sagrada Familia in Barcelona, going to see the Sistine Chapel. There are just certain things you cannot wing. And I think this is great. I think this is absolutely great. So now, for those who are traveling and have Clear, there are some changes happening. So, a little background: Clear is it's a private company, and they basically partner with airports and airlines to basically let you skip to the front of the TSA line. So if you have pre-check, skip to the front of the pre-check line. If you don't have pre-check, you skip to the front of the regular line. And the whole idea is your biometrics are your ID, your fingerprints, your, an eye scan. So mine's always the eyes. Some people use the fingerprints. And, that's your ID. So they verify you. You go up to the TSA agent, you just show them the boarding pass, Clear said, I verified them, it's gone. Once in a while, they do have the random ID checks. I seem to get it all the freaking time. So much so, I usually leave my passport in my pocket until I am
I know.
through.
I get so excited that I don't need to take it out again.
Right, but it happens all the time. But anyways, so the TSA has now said, "Hey, Clear, we think we're starting to be a little too lax on IDs. So we are now going to require more Clear users. They have not said what that number is to show IDs with Clear. So this kind of devalues Clear and
It defeats part of the purpose.
I mean, there is still the nice advantage of going to the front of the pre-check line. I mean, that is a nice perk still.
Oh, 100%. But I mean, you and I were just talking last week. Jeff was flying back from a cruise on Independence. I'm going to see if I can find it here while we chit chat. And I sent Jason this picture of the
Clear line.
Clear Line, and it was ridiculous. Let me see.
And I will say, Clear has saved me a few times. When I was flying home from our Alaska cruise last summer, the TSA line, even pre-check, was crazy. Clear saved me, and I would have missed my flight. Like no lie, I would have missed my flight if it was not for Clear. So it is beneficial, but showing the ID, especially for pre-check people, we've already gone through the background check. Like we've already done it. Now, this isn't part of the notes, but if you have flown recently and used global entry to come back into the country, it's kind of the same thing is happening there too. You used to scan your passport and then your face at a kiosk, a slip of printout. You would show it to an officer, he'd look at it, and you'd be on your way. Now, when you go to global entry, it just scans your face, green light, then you wait in a line, and then you show your passport to an officer. So it's like we're going backwards with Clear and we're going backwards with global entry.
And it's crazy because like it's not like that in like Europe.
I know.
If you look at the lines that like EU citizens go through, and even us to a degree, it's all like, some places you don't even get stamps anymore.
I mean, I love flying to London Heathrow. You just scan your passport, scan your face, whoosh, door opens. You are on the way. So, it's another great question, Cruising Crew. Do you think Clear is a good investment? Look, if you have a platinum card, Amex Platinum, I think the Amex Delta Reserve, it's free. If you have, or maybe it's not free, it's like heavily discounted.
Produced or yeah.
Heavily discounted. If you're a Diamond Medallion member, it's free. So, do I think it's a good investment if you have a card? Yeah. And if your airport gets backed up, look, when you're at JFK, the TSA pre-check line can get crazy. Crazy. Clear does help. If you're mostly flying domestic like Nashville, it's not.
I think it also depends on how much you travel to. Like if you're traveling more than 4 or 5 times a year, I think it's nice. Especially if you're somebody that say that likes to cruise and you're going out of Port Canaveral quite a bit. The Orlando airport is a zoo
Yes.
because between Disney,
Yep.
Universal,
Yep.
cruising, SeaWorld, all the things. Um, I mean, they specifically are one of the few airports that have where you can make an appointment to go through TSA because
I
it's so crazy. And Clear is such a time saver there. But it's only at more major airports. Like, if I was per se just going to shorter domestic flights out of Rochester, like Rochester doesn't have Clear.
Right. Or look, if you're an American Airlines fan, they don't really have partnerships with. I mean, if you're in the same terminal, you could still do it. So, like in Nashville, it would work because you could go through. Everybody go through one security area, but for certain airports where like AA is separate, Clear only goes where it's like Delta
That's not United.
United. So I'm not saying AA people can't use it, but if you're at a terminal that is only AA, there's most likely not going to be Clear there. So I mean, I still think it's a good investment. It's fairly inexpensive, but we just have to remember now. Look, keep your ID in your pocket. You're really just buying access to the front of the pre-check or the front of the TSA line.
Yeah.
I mean that's it in a nutshell. So, anyways, moving on about our rant on having to show IDs and talk to people. Well, guys, Europe this year is just crazy. Okay, crazy. There are strikes. Europe and the UK are like this nonstop strikes from baggage handlers to air traffic controllers to airport workers. It's getting crazy. Okay, and I get it because they're working harder than they've ever worked, and they're just they're wanting more money. They're wanting more benefits. We're not going to get into we're not I mean,
Flights.
right. We're not going to get into the details of why they're striking, but let's just take a moment to say, what do you do? Like when I was getting off my cruise I just did, there was a baggage handler strike. Luckily, I had private transfers. It was fine. But there were people who were complaining on the message boards about how hard it was to find a taxi at the port to go to the airport. As you know, the Rome cruise port is not in Rome. It is an hour and a half away from the airport. I mean, it is a.
How do you pronounce it, Jason?
Civitavecchia.
Civitavecchia.
Civitavecchia. It is a haul, right? So what do you do? Hey, Lee, you're on your August cruise. Say you make it to Europe. Cruise is over. Your flight is canceled because of a strike. What do you do?
Whip out that American Express Platinum card. Book another flight. Book a hotel. Book for whatever I need and then submit it to travel insurance.
Boom. It's not. It's yeah.
And also planning ahead. I just did all my transfers yesterday for, a hotel to the or airport to the hotel in Rome to Civitavecchia, and then Athens Port to the Grand Hyatt to the airport. Done.
Yep.
Private transfers set, done.
I mean, and that's one. I mean, Piraeus to Athens. I mean, it's a haul too. I mean, it's a haul.
Oh yeah,
It's a haul.
especially
So
cheaper though than Civitavecchia though.
yes, yes. So yeah. So if you're going to Europe this summer, one, you be flexible. You gotta have travel insurance. I mean, that is. I mean, Haley and I fight to make that the travel tip of the week every week to buy travel insurance.
Because we just see it all the time. These people on Instagram, Reels, on TikTok, that just
I know
don't do it.
you have to do it.
And I had one person comment like, "Oh, why are you marketing travel insurance so much? It's almost the same cost as the flight." Which flights to Europe are, let me tell you, the $300 that we paid for our almost 2-week trip for 3 people to go to Europe.
Those days are done.
That is well worth. Well, I mean, that's how much the travel insurance was. It was like $300.
Oh, 300. Yes, yeah.
Like compared to what the cost of the trip is and what it would cost me, like that's just something you budget for. Like I would cut something else out of my itinerary to make sure I had coverage, especially in the summer.
I could not agree with you more.
Like peace of mind, especially when you're going to a foreign country and you're not in your zone. It's foolish not to. And I mean, and you see all the things going on with delays. I mean, my cousin is now in Hawaii and they ended up sitting on a plane for 2 hours and got brought back to the terminal for another 5 hours. And there's just, the airlines gave them a $15 food voucher for over 7 hours worth of delays.
Right.
They could have been, in a lounge eating food or, went out and got, more food and stuff like that if they had bought that style travel insurance.
Right. No, I agree. No, I agree completely. All right. So let's go into our question of the day. So Haley, there is this dual trend in the cruising industry. We have lines that are, we had some issues with sound. Sorry. Hopefully they're fixed now. I refreshed my mic. So sorry if there were issues. It looks good on my end. So there's this dual trend in the industry. You have some lines that are building bigger and bigger ships. I mean, you look at Norwegian doing Prima. They said version 2 is going to be even bigger. You see MSC, World Europa, World America, big ships. Royal Caribbean building Icon of the Seas. I mean, the biggest ship in the world, right? I mean, these lines are going bigger and bigger. Beyond got bigger than Apex. Ascent's going to be a little bigger than Beyond, okay? Massive ships. And then you see Ritz-Carlton getting a lot of rave. Then you see Explorer Journeys, a small ship people are excited about. Seabourn getting new small expedition ships. So which is it? Small or big?
For me, I am starting to lean a lot more towards small ships, better destinations.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong, super excited to try Princess for the first time as an adult.
Yeah.
On a big new ship. But I think based on being on the phone all day, every day as part of my job, I'm not necessarily cruising as a social venture anymore, unless it's specifically with friends. Like I am there to spend time either by myself, with my husband, with my family. The destination is the more important piece, being able to relax without, a bunch of noise. Like that's a little bit more. And and I'm wanting to do the smaller areas. Like, yes, I'm super, excited to finally get to Athens, to finally get to Mykonos. But at the same time, you see like those videos of how packed these big places are. And I'm like,
It's
it makes me sad that my trip to Paris, Greece did not happen.
it's
Um,
Mykonos can get. I've already been twice this year. Luckily, the second time it was not that bad. We're the only big ship there, but in May it was insane, insane. So I agree. Now I do think the cruise lines realize they can make more money on the big ships, right?
yeah.
Yes, they cost more to build, but it's not like it's demonstrably more. You know what I mean? Like,
But I mean, like when you look at like Carnival, NCL, and Royal Caribbean, I'm gonna leave MSC off to the side because they've been doing that combo Wi-Fi and drink
yeah, right, yeah,
price. They can. I mean, some of the prices that like Wonder and stuff came out at an Icon, like that's just the cruise. That doesn't include all the add-ons. I mean, because the markup on like alcohol and stuff is like crazy. I mean, they're just making money hand over fist
yep,
at that point.
yep.
And yeah, it's bigger. There's more people, but all I can think of when I look at Icon is like, oh my god, what are the lines going to be like for like, like thinking my Olivia got spoiled being on Ovation in 2021. She just did the
Oh,
flow rider.
right.
She had it to herself. And having cruised since, I mean, like the lines for the flow riders on just some of these regular ships
I know. I
are
mean,
crazy. And I'm just like,
I will give you and I definitely know Royal Caribbean the most of the family lines, and I will give them credit on Oasis Class. They did a really good job of scheduling like a production show and an aqua theater show and a comedy show at the same time. You know what I mean? So like it spaces them out. I think Icon's going to do the same thing, right? They're going to like.
hope it is, but I just I think of like the bigger capacity, and it's not like there's 5 flow riders on this
Nope.
ship.
I
I
agree.
just kind of have my. I mean, I was wrong about Coco Case. I'm just hoping I'm wrong here.
Yeah, I mean, so I think you might be wrong as far as like a lot of the lines, but I do think there are some events such as the Flow Rider, which there's going to be just tons of lines, right? There's only going to be what, one, maybe two on the ship. And there's going to be thousands of kids, so I think you're right about that. I do think it's going to be more spread out in other things, but I think as you and I get older, those amusement park ships are less appealing. I don't have children at all. Your daughter is no longer like a little girl wanting to do the water slides. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. She'd gladly participate.
Yep.
But if I gave her a choice between doing a Royal Caribbean ship and honestly, even a celebrity ship, and I was like, hey, if we end up doing celebrity, we'll probably do a little bit more like spa relaxation where there's this nut. I'd say she'd go for the spa experience. I mean, she's doing one with me on Princess. She's pretty excited for that.
I love it. And also I do think the smaller ships are. I mean, think about this year, tiny ships have taken me to places that a big ship can never do. Right? I mean, I've gone to tiny Greek islands, Tel Aviv, the Galapagos. Those are just places that a big ship could never take me. So as I get a little older, I'm starting to be like, I need to see more. Like doing a river cruise this fall, right? I'm excited to like go like into Europe, right, and see into Europe and not just around the Mediterranean. So
Well, I mean, and that's so true. And I think that's, like I've started looking at river cruising too, because like I just love like being in Europe. Like that's kind of the vibe right now. That's what I'm really enjoying spending time in the thick of it. And, the water slides and stuff aren't it. I'm sure like we'd all have fun on like, a Royal Caribbean group cruise, like, with our little Today in Travel group, 20, 30, 40 people, like we'd have fun, like
Yeah.
no doubt. But there's so much world that I still need to see.
Oh, I mean, there's yes, there's tons of places that I've not been. So I think the answer is the reason they're both having the mega ships and the small ship is there's something for everybody. The families who just want a spring break, 7 night Caribbean getaway icon is amazing for them. Amazing. Amazing.
Absolutely. It crams a lot into one.
It's amazing. Look, and I think that's the reason Celebrity is keeping the Beyond in Florida year round because there are those families who maybe they can't take the 2 weeks off to get to Europe, right? But they want something a little more elevated. Maybe they're taking their older kids and Beyond in
Mhm.
the summer doing Caribbean makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that would be a contender depending on what other things look like for us. Because people, they'll still say I'm crazy. They're like, oh, Olivia loves doing this. And it's like, I think people underestimate sometimes what your older kids want to do. I mean, like she's up at 6 a.m. every day. School starts at 7:10. She wants to sleep in. She wants to
I get it.
relax. I think we underestimate how much some kids just like to relax and we want to throw all the slides, the theme parks, all the things at them.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, wrapping it up, Haley, do you have a good travel tip?
I do, and I was looking for it and it's packed. So this is for I was posting a bunch of my travel favorites for Prime Days last week, and this kind of
Mhm.
comes around to it, is getting an all-in-one travel adapter. Now, they're not expensive first off. I think they're maybe like $15. A lot of people for a couple dollars get like just the EU plug or just the UK
Maybe.
plug.
That's what I have. That's what I have.
They have these, they look like a cube, and it is an all-in-one. So it has an EU, it has a UK, it has US also as well. And then on the sides of it, there's also USB-C plugins and USB-C. And it is just fantastic to have everything all in one place.
Will you post a link to it in
I
the
will.
yeah,
I
perfect.
will.
Post a
It's a,
link.
it's a it's a great one, and then you're not like looking around for all these little plugs. Like I usually grab one, Jeff grabs one, and we just have the two blocks. And between our
Nice.
family, that's more than enough. And we also use these cords. I can actually grab one of those because I have one right here.
I've seen your cord setup. It's nice.
So I can charge multiple things off of that one USB plug-in.
Yeah, I mean they manage to charge
I
quickly.
hate more cords than anything.
No, I think that is absolutely wonderful. So, all right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed the show. Hopefully, you've learned a thing or two. We come back every Tuesday, and guys, we're in the Facebook group. If people were commenting about the Marriott MGM in there, so that was it's a nice little discourse. So, Haley, good seeing you again as always, and we will be back next week.
All right, bye guys.
Bye.